What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Roast Your Kit Episode 8. This is the Gear Locker, and if you're not familiar, this is the series where you send your kits in, I share them, and we have a little bit of fun roasting them. Now, Episode 8 was anything goes. So any Airsoft kit, any real world kit. So this is going to be a rapid fire one where the roasts are a little bit extra hard. Stay tuned to the end of the video to not only find out my favorite kit of this episode, but also how you can get your kit in Episode 9. Let's jump right into it. Alrighty, so this first kit comes from Dylan P, and this is an 80s style looking kit. He's got Woodland, he's got an LBV 88, he's got flight gloves, lots of really interesting things that are all vintage US kind of gear. I know, having run armor many times, even at normal Airsoft pickup days, that it's not the best thing to do, especially when it's older and fully covering you like this. So probably ditch that personally, but overall, not too bad. It's an interesting looking kit. It definitely has a proper vibe, which I appreciate. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 fruitcakes because there's no way you're making it through an entire gameplay day wearing that flak vest. I mean, if you do, great, but definitely not the smartest idea. Also, you're gonna need an airsoft gun for that one. Let's jump into our next kit with a fan favorite and previous winner of Roast Your Kit, Op4 Airsoft. Now this guy puts together a ton of really cool kits, and this one is a Chinese PLA kit. I will say, he sent me some reference photos and he matches them really well. This guy's an impressionist, he knows what he's doing, and this kit looks functional. What I'm always curious about with Chinese military equipment is how high of a quality it is. Because obviously we see all the Amazon and cheap stuff that comes out. So I think it maybe taints some people's perspectives of the actual quality of the gear that is issued over there. So I'd be very curious to hear people's experiences in the comments below. Is Chinese military gear as bad as Airsoft Chinese made gear? Or is it a lot higher of a standard? Let me know. Either way, I love the simplicity of this kit. With the 3 double magazine pouches up front, it screams like 2000s, early 2010s kits, even earlier if that. Now I am gonna have to take a fruitcake away because that QBZ looks like an M4 had a weird kind of one-off relationship with an AK, and they came out with that. And I'm not a fan of those rifles at all. I mean, I guess they're okay, but yeah. Personal preference, still, you rock this kit. Nice job, Op4. Now let's keep it going with more fan favorites. This one coming from 54 SKP Kueken, and this is another of his Polizei kits. This is a heavy duty one, a breacher one similar to one of the previous ones that he sent in. And the armor and the uniform and the ballistic face shield looks super cool, and it's all contrasted really well with that little tiny MP7. I appreciate that the details of this kit are always accurate with this guy, and I know they're pretty hard to source, so the fact that he's getting them together and making them look this good is a big prop. So 5 out of 5 fruitcakes, pretty easily. SKP Kueken, nice job on this one, man. Styles V Laudner, who has sent in many times before, sends another 80s kit. Kind of similar to some of the ones that he sent in the past, but I'll give it a pass because this is anything goes. And here we have an 80s style with the Woodland. Looks like he's got some photos with the mop suit as well. Pretty cool. I like it all together. I think it's an iconic vibe regardless, especially if you're getting all the details right like this. So I think doing it well is the best way to do it. Sometimes you see people that throw together Alice kits with normal like Woodland, and it's kind of just that, and there's not a lot of thought and process behind what's actually being used. Now I get it. For Airsoft, you got to use whatever works for you, but having old style kit that's pretty cheap and easy can look cheap and easy. You want it to look professional, and I think that you emulate this well. So nice job, Styles V Laudner. 4 out of 5 fruitcakes for the lack of originality. Send something new in sometime. I'd love to see it because you do good work. Deich Taktik sends in an interesting kit. When he sent me this message, I was like, okay, yeah, standard KSK looking kit, but he mentioned that it is based off of one of the 1 out of 6 scale figures that you can get online. They're kind of crazy expensive, and they're little toy versions, and they're usually pretty farb, but he sent one in that's based off of that, and I gotta say, it's kind of cool looking. I can't deny huge buys for KSK kits, so I love the look already, but what you got here is an interesting combo of things. You've got a KA4 looking build with a KAC style handguard rail system. Kind of neat. I've only seen a couple of reference photos of that particular combo in use with the KSK before, so I like it. Looks like you've got a lot of the basic KSK style equipment from the time period of like the mid to late 2010s. And overall, it's well put together. I'd love to see more angles of this kit, see how the helmet is set up and things like that. It's just one picture, pretty far away. So for that, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 fruitcake rolls, but overall, you did pretty good for matching something that usually is not that good. Woo's SPO6 sends in a modern-ish looking kit. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be emulating some kind of unit, but there are really cool gear pieces on this. My favorite being that Arc'teryx style uniform set. I'm not sure if that's original, because I know the original and the real ones of those are pretty hard to get, and those look really clean and minty. So they might be replicas, not sure from where, but I think it's a cool combo. You don't often see those being used by airsofters in general, so I think it works. What I am a little curious about is why you chose Multicam Arid for your plate carrier setup. Could be something that matches a unit, but I do not like any of the Multicam variations. Multicam Tropic stands, the people who are into the black, like, not my thing at all. I do not like it whatsoever for some reason. I'll say it's a 4 out of 5 fruitcake rolls. It looks cool, it looks cohesive, and it looks functional. But man, you killed it with that Multicam Arid. Let's keep going though. Monster GS06 sends in one of my favorite kits. It's not the best kit that I've seen this entire episode, but it is easily one of my top ones here. And this is an old style Fernspaher kit. He's got German stuff going on, but that G3 is what makes it. You can see the smock and the EKH and the chest rig kits any day, but to see it with a G3 that looks really well built is super cool. You easily get 5 fruitcakes out of 5. Let's take a little more of an in-depth look at what he's got, but that G3 is awesome, man. Nice job. Zooming in, it looks like he's got one of the split buckle chest rigs. He's got tons of pouches, lots of magazine pouches going all the way around. As I mentioned, he's got the EKH on his bottom and a smock up top. Those smocks are fantastic. I will say it looks like one of the Leo Kohler ones, given the pocket design. So maybe switching that out for something that is a Sharer design or a Whaler. Future, one of the old kind of manufacturers of those things, might be a better improvement here, but that G3 makes up for anything, dude. That optic mount is so cool. I've had one in my hands before, mounted on an MP5 of my buddies, and they're awesome. They just scream that retro vibe, and to put it on a well-built rifle makes it. So, Monster GS06, you crushed this kit. Easy 5 out of 5 fruitcake rolls for me. Nice job. DaviGer, a previous sender, sends in another one of his kits, and this one looks very similar to the last one, but it's got a couple different details. We still have that multi-tarn top and bottom, so very cool that you have one in your size like that. What's really cool though is he's running a tan LHT Gen 5. One of my favorite plate carriers just because of the rarity, and in the photos it looks so badass. So seeing it here in this kit put together with a multi-tarn is pretty cool. I'll give you props for that. The coolest piece is going to be that Cypress balaclava. Those things are pretty hard to come by given the rarity that they were given out at all. So I think it's pretty cool. I've got one in my collection I bought recently, so it's cool that you're rocking one here. That G95 build is pretty cool too. I'm going to take a point off because it doesn't have that 45 angle selector, but that's not really something in your control. Still, this is roast your kit, so you'll be fine. 4 out of 5 fruitcake rolls. Let's keep going though. Ailes Brom sends in an old style Russian kit. I think he sent one in similar to this before. If not, I've seen kits that look like this before, and it looks very functional. I feel like it's the typical like 70s, 80s, 90s bad guy kit during Cold War era stuff. The paratrooper vibes of this are really cool. That AK with some of the accessories that you have, it's an old style AK, but with that suppressor and that stock pad, I just think it works well together. Real world operations often require that you carry additional equipment in a pack, and having one on your kit I think looks really cool. I love seeing that cup hanging off the side, so that does elevate it to the next level because you get those tiny details like that. So Ailes Brom, this is going to be a 4.5 fruitcakes out of 5, simply because not my favorite vibe, but you did it really well regardless with those details, so nice job. CLAAS 2K8 sends in what he calls is a German kit. Now he says he's 16, so he can't get that much, but it's his mobile RTO loadout, and I think that what you have here is an incredibly functional backpacking loadout. I see some very interesting pieces here, like you have what looks like a copy of the USGI Alice web set. You have a ruck that is loaded to the brim with lots of equipment kind of strapped on, and you got some patches, but I don't see any airsoft replicas or ways to carry magazines, so I'm not sure if this would constitute an airsoft kind of kit or a real world military kit. So for now, I'm going to have to pass on rating this one. It's definitely a kit that I'd rather take backpacking than into any kind of tactical engagement. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation on this next one, but Laure Ecorde sends in a kit that I haven't seen before, and this is what he calls a 1970s French soldier kit. When I initially opened these, I thought these were some fantasy Russian style kit or Soviet style kit because of that AK, but you said that you can't get the proper, I think you said a MAZ 36. I think it's okay. I think it's a cool looking kit. For some reason, this looks like a Cold War kind of resistance kit. I'm not sure what it is about it. I'm not sure how accurate any of these pieces are to an impression, but I think this is a very cool movie kit, and I'd love to see it in that kind of environment. It's all right. I'm going to give it like a 3 out of 5 because I'm not sure where it fits, but if this were a Red Dawn, but over in Europe, this might be kind of cool. Lima Sierra 1 sends in an army looking kit, and It's probably one of the gruntiest kits that we have on this episode in terms of modern grunt kits. He's got the M4A1, he's got the US Army pants that have the ability to take knee pads, he's got an IOTV up top, and a Mitch helmet. So overall, you fit that vibe really well. I don't think there's anything I can complain about this kit. I really don't think there's much to complain about with this kit. I think it makes sense. I can see the vibe you're going for. It looks functional, albeit maybe a little bulky for the equipment that you're carrying or lack thereof. It's definitely a bit outdated, but I like what you're going for, so I can't really take any points off. 5 fruitcakes out of 5. We continue on with Combat Addict 32, and he sends in more Russian-style stuff. That camo pattern, man, doesn't do it for me. It's not you. You wear it well, but it's kind of like mustard stains. I don't know. Not my favorite. And the AK looks a little bit interesting with that magazine. I don't know much about Russian-style stuff, but I don't know if that's the proper magazine for it. If it is, correct me in the comments below. Looks a little too large. The harness that you have looks functional. I know a lot of that equipment is preferred by the Airsoft people who want to get into Russian style stuff because it is very usable. It's just, it looks a little bland to me, generic. If you wanted to go for an MSW Rust 4 or a militia style kit, this would work perfectly, but not my flavor of things. 3 out of 5 fruitcakes for no other reason than personal preference. Kestrel 074 sends out a bad guy kit, and he's sent in many times before, and this is the perfect bad guy kit. I could totally see this kit with that ballistic face shields in any kind of like 80s or 90s B movie. This is perfect for it. I love it. The AK with the face shield, the black and tan, and the Woodland screams a bad guy that's invading the US, although we have no idea what bad guys actually look like. It's kind of cool. I like it. Overall, Kestrel, it's a vibe. I think you run it well, you rock it well, you've set it up well. Very well done. I think that radio with the triple prongs looks a little out of place given the bad guy look, but maybe that's just my personal image of 90s and 80s bad guy things, contrasting with the vibe you were going for. So 4 out of 5 fruitcakes. Nice job, though. Ameen Adil sends in a Woodland kit with Alice equipment. Very generic, very basic. In the beginning of this episode, I talked about setting up a Woodland style kit, USGI 80s kit, very particularly to make it not look inexpensive or kind of thrown together. I'd love to see some more detail fleshed out. I get the vibe you're going for, I get the functionality, but maybe kitting it out a little bit more intentionally, showcasing it with a replica, might look cooler than as it stands. It's not a bad looking kit. Again, it probably works just fine, but I'd love to see a little bit more. So I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 fruitcakes for now. It's not a bad thing. Just maybe develop it a bit more. Tombo Flip sends in an Aussie kit from 2016. And this is Gucci on Gucci gear. It looks really high speed and functional. I think he did a great job setting it all up. It's minimal, but I know a lot of the equipment that he did put together is kind of cool. I'm not sure how accurate it is to any of the Aussie stuff. I'm sure it is. But overall, I think it just looks like a generic functional kit, which is not an insulting thing. Generic, I think, is the vibe that the world is going for nowadays, unfortunately. It just works. For some reason, you did stick some Cheerios in your handguard. You might want to pop those out because I don't know how long they're going to last before going stale. But overall, it's not a bad looking kit. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 just for generic sake. And here we have a kit from someone named Mo. Oh boy. Mo, you sweet summer child. If any kit in this episode was an Airsoft kit, I think this would be it. Now, Mo sent in 2 variations, and he said one he made intentionally looking more Airsofty than the other, but I hate to break it to you, man, they both look equally Airsofty. You have the M4 with the Airsoft optic that doesn't show up in any real world stuff. You have the total mishmash of Amazon Multicam with who knows what camo pattern that is for some of the pouches on there. It's just Airsoft, man. And you know what? I can't hate on it because it's Airsoft, because that's kind of the point. But, oh man. I think I just have to leave it at that. The next kit comes from someone named Kenneth, and this is a 40s Warsaw ghetto partisan kit, the Jewish Fighters Organization particularly, and I think it's kind of cool, actually. As he says, I have to take away 1 fruit can for not having anything in his magazine pouches. I don't know how realistic that is, but overall, I think it's kind of neat. I don't know how functional and comfortable it would be for a long-term Airsoft gameplay or realistic reenactment, whatever the case may be, but it's not a bad-looking kit. So I'll take away that 1 fruit can, but overall, Kenneth, it's pretty cool. So 4 out of 5. The next one comes from AS Ridge, and this looks like the next evolution of that last Airsoft kit that we saw. It's multicam. You have a coyote brown plate carrier, but everything looks a little more thought out and a little more filled out. AS Ridge puts together something that has a lot of the ideas of the high-speed operator kits, but maybe doesn't look super high-speed operator for whatever reason. I don't know. It's a really hard thing to pinpoint when you get Airsoft kits. Like, why don't they look super realistic? But overall, I think you put it together well. For everything that you have, it works. Maybe it's the empty phone case. Maybe it's the pouches that have the additional pouch already stacked on top of it. Maybe it's the fact that you're wearing that particular headset. I'm not sure. I think it's effective, I'm sure, but just doesn't hit that vibe quite right for me. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Again, it's not a bad kit at all, but something's missing. I can't tell. And before we move on to my favorite kit of this episode, let's talk about how you can get yours in episode 9. We're almost at that 10 mark, and I think I have something that I'm pretty excited for episode 10, but you guys will have to wait and see for that. Regardless, episode 9 is going to be back to basics, back to our roots and impression kits only. Send them in right to me, either on Instagram or the email in the description below. And I'm going to need them by April 25th, no later. You only have a couple weeks to get these in because we are going to be cruising through the month of April and May with so much content that I'm excited to put out. So I want to see this by April 25th. As a reminder, the things that you are going to need for episode 9 are kit pictures of your own, a kit list so I can identify whatever the heck you got going on, and reference photos. The more the merrier, but things that match your kit as particularly as possible are going to be the best. I'm really excited to see what you guys have come up with and have been working on, so send them in by April 25th to the Gear.Locker, either on Instagram or my email, and let's move on to my favorite of this episode. Now, I've got one photo of this guy, and damn, I wish I had more. In this episode, I kind of have been hinting at it that with kits, especially multicam style kits, there's something that's missing in so many of them, and it's really hard to figure out what that is. A lot of them look Airsoftery. They look thrown together with things that might look cool, but are they actually cool and functional? This guy takes all of the Airsoftery out of his impression kit, and this goes to Nutch R75 with his 75th Ranger impression kit here. Every single piece he has on this kit is functional, meant to be there, and serves a big purpose. Nothing is thrown on and left empty just because it looks cool or fills the space. He's not a big patch person, and I love that for it. All of these pieces are really neat. We'll go bottom to top. I love those Patagonia pants. I personally have not owned any of the Patagonia stuff. I have some friends who speak very highly of it. I've seen it, I've felt it, I've tried it on, but I don't own any. And I probably should because of how cool it looks. Very nice, starting at the bottom. The Safari Lane holster that you have with the thigh strap, moving up to that, what I believe is a cry plate carrier, and that helmet setup having some scrim on it from what I can tell. It looks really well put together, and that's my favorite part about it. It doesn't look thrown together. That USGI build is really nice as well. I think the different colors with that tan look super cool. And everyone dogs on HK for having so many different desert colors in their rifles. I think it works really well here with this USGI build. So, Nutch, you crushed this kit, man. A well-deserved win for Roast Your Kit Episode 8. Thank you so much for sending it in. And as you work more on this kit and your peers and buddies who do the same, send them in. I'd love to see them in future episodes with the kit list as well as reference photos, because this would be a really cool thing to dive even deeper into. So that's going to wrap up episode 8 of Roast Your Kit. Again, send your kit pics, kit lists, and reference photos in for episode 9, either to my Instagram or my email in the description below. By April 25th. Need them by then because we're going to get this rolling out in May. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you and your kits in the next one.